at me and tell me what you see.
I look at you and tell you what I feel. Look at me and tell me what you see. I look at you and tell you what I feel.
Welcome back, to the point where I realised what a horrible, horrible mistake it was to review the Wishmaster series. Wishmaster 2 was terrible, but perhaps I was a little hasty in condemning it completely. At least it had some effort. Wishmaster 3 doesn't even try to follow the previous films, to the degree where there's a significant amount of evidence to suggest it's not even the same djinn from the previous films. Shall I show you what I'm talking about? This is Wishmaster 3, Beyond the Gates of Hell. And that really is an appropriate subtitle. Set in a college, because it stopped being a horror about adults and is now your standard teen slasher style fucking garbage, as our main character Diana, played by AJ Cook, has a dream about her parents dying in a car accident when she was a child. It has a deep impact on her character, and is made reference to throughout the film to give her personality, yeah, fucking right! It has absolutely no point whatsoever, and despite fleeting mentions here and there, it has zero impact on the film. Diana looks to be contemplating jumping from the roof. For being in this film, I can't blame her, but once again, there's no reason for it. This is the movie wasting your fucking time. You're welcome. Her boyfriend goes looking for her, somehow knowing she'd be on the roof, and after scaring the guy, they talk and then make out. Wishmaster, Beyond the Gates of Hell. It really does put into perspective when you look at the pointless opening to this film and the great effects-laden opening of the original. The next day, we get a day in the life of a dull-as-dishwater college student, and the kind of people she hangs around with, like this douchebag.
Hey, bimbos. You're in the academic room, huh? For my new psych paper.
On foot fetishes.
Now, new subject. Ready? Sex in public places. Is it hotter?
As I'm sure you'd expect from a modern horror movie, these characters will annoy the ever-loving piss out of you so you pray for their deaths. Which is hardly the way the original or even the second movie did things. I didn't hate Alex. And I didn't like Morgana, but she never annoyed me. But main characters, or fodder if you will, are almost expected to be annoying in horror movies now. It's just the thing to do. Which basically is a lack of creativity and unwillingness to break any form of convention. Anyway, after more dull college crap, Diana goes off to the museum where she works with her history teacher. Doing what we never really find out. It looks like unpacking mostly. And this is where the first of many differences between this film and the previous ones appear, as Diana inspects a metallic box, which after defocusing her eyes, somehow reveals a code and a button. Because this film desperately wants to be Hellraiser now, and yeah, that box is part of the evidence I mentioned to suggest this djinn is different. It's the first of many, so I'll talk more in depth when the others come up. However, Diana still finds the fire opal inside the box, and despite it being clean and highly polished, decides to give it a rub. She gets a vision of this film's djinn, but then her teacher shows up for some attempts at a jump scare. Yeah, scary. Diana tells her teacher about the box and the code contained on it, which impresses him, to which he invites her to a meal, giving him a creepy sleeping with students vibe. Which, again, goes nowhere as he's soon to be dead anyway. Speaking of which, as the teacher inspects the gem, guess who arrives? Yes, that's not Andrew Divoff as the djinn, who presumably went to the island to get away from this crap. Evidence too to suggest it's a different djinn. And the djinn is played incredibly smugly, irritating and not scary at all. Which isn't that bad because he's barely in the movie in that form, so a save from that at least. Also, you'll notice he just appears fully formed, unlike the other times when he starts as a weaker form until he gets his first wish. This was changed merely due to a time-saving measure and a lack of budget for that sort of effect. On the bright side, I don't really want to see this actor rolling around on the floor trying to chew the scenery like it's Laffy Taffy. The djinn naturally offers the guy a wish, and he really doesn't have the persuasive skills of the previous djinn, as he just does this.
Please, Professor. If we don't.
It's all right, sweetheart. It's all right.
Please don't. No! No!
Wasn't like that. Will anyone believe you? Refuse me again and the world will know, my good professor.
He's using blackmail to get a wish? He could offer anything in the entire universe, anything he wants to tempt him with. But he chooses blackmail? That's a really shallow interpretation of what kind of evil the djinn is capable of. He wishes to become the ruler of man and destroy the earth so the race of djinn may rule a new world of fire. But not until he ruins your career. The teacher then makes an equally shallow wish for women he finds attractive who love him back, to which two belly dancers show up to flash their tits, while the djinn is really fucking pervy. That's the level we're at now. Cheap gore and nudity. It's like we're back in the 80s with this kind of horror movie trope. But for some reason the girls then kill the teacher, clawing at him. Why? No reason. Don't expect any kind of clever wishes in this film. It's basically wish for something and then die, with a lack of thought guaranteed. Meanwhile, Diana and her friend are talking, and after their boyfriends show up, Diana sees the teacher die in a vision because she sees through the djinn's eyes, just like in the other films, except here it's used for lazy convenience and a pinch of the other films did it, we need to do it too syndrome. Then, because it costs too much to keep the actor in the makeup, the djinn cuts off the teacher's face, leaving the actor with a perfectly fine face underneath covered in fake blood. And then the djinn wears it so he can look like the teacher. Again, I'm just glad we don't have to be subjected to that guy's acting for a while. Diana goes to the museum to see if she can find the teacher, and she finds the teacher's journal with a drop of blood on it, convincing her of his death. Realistic reactions, suspense, pacing. What are you, crazy? We got a movie to piss out here. Moving on. And then we have another scene to waste your time as the douchebag wanders around looking for his girlfriend, only for her to run in scaring the crap out of him.
Oh, wait. Where are you going?
Back to the labyrinth. My ass is grass if she finds out I snatched it.
But you look horny.
Please die. They then proceed to have sex in a public and exposed place. Sex, tits, tits, sex, blood, 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 tits, sex. Oh, sorry. I think I was just channeling the script there for a second. Such eloquent writing, don't you think? Diana is doing the research that all Wishmaster protagonists do, finding all about the box, and I have to address this. As I said at the start, there's every reason to suspect that this djinn is a different djinn. However, there's problems there. Like how no matter the research in the first film and the second film, both protagonists found the exact same story that we saw happen at the start of the first film, with the djinn being trapped in the gem. And the gem is used in this film, just in a different container. So I'd say it is the same djinn, but the filmmakers either didn't want to, or were unable to use the original origin. And if it was the different djinn, I think it would be way more obvious. So if you accept it's a different djinn, you're just making excuses for the filmmakers' lazy, shitty writing. Anyway, the djinn is looking for Diana, similar to how he sought after Alex in the first film, although it is far less interesting, as he just goes to the school records and deals with a surly records keeper. And by now, I'm sure you can guess where this is going. He tries to get what he wants, doesn't get it, and then gets the person to make a wish. Rinse and repeat. What is it this time?
I wish this whole mountain of files would go up in flames so I could get the hell out of here.
So the woman dies in a ball of flames, as you'd expect. I'm sorry for not being particularly interested, but these films rely heavily on a concept that can get old really fast if it's not done well. And it's lazy as fuck. It takes my complaint from the previous films, where the djinn would occasionally kill people regardless of their wish, and make that the defining characteristic. And it's really boring. What else can I say?
All I wanted was a simple file.
That ambulance got there fucking quick, considering she was on her own at night in a closed building. You'd think the fire department would be called as well. And Diana opens the body bag because she desperately needs to see the charred remains as some form of confirmation. The next day, the djinn decides to teach the class, and I have no fucking clue what for. He's trying to find Diana. Didn't he get what he was looking for when he was speaking to the records woman? What the fuck was the point of that then? Did he intentionally burn the records he was asking for? The djinn continues to teach, insulting the students as he goes, and interjecting how he knew such and such historical figures, and how he was responsible for the Trojan War. The kind of stuff made to give him a personality and to make him more awe-inspiring, when the acting fails to do so. And then it's class dismissed. Once again, the film is actively wasting your time. Diana is still doing research and comes across a passage in a book that you might find familiar.
And when God breathed fire into the universe, and the light gave birth to angels, and the earth gave birth to man, and the fire gave birth to the jinn, one who wakes the jinn shall be given 3 wishes. Upon the granting of the 3rd, the unholy legions of the jinn shall be freed upon the earth. Fear one thing. Fear the jinn.
Yeah, it's just a word-for-word copy of the opening narration from the first film. I'll stick with the original, thank you very much. Diana tries to meet her friends outside, but after seeing the djinn, she calls instead to get her boyfriend and her friends to meet her around the corner. She tries to get them to leave with her, but they refuse until Diana explains what's going on. And when she does, they obviously don't believe her. But they go along with her anyway, except the douchebag, because the clue's in the name. They go to her room to get more things, but are unable to when the djinn shows up, causing Diana to make a run for it, with her boyfriend deciding to confront the djinn. And after the boyfriend tries to get him to leave her alone, the djinn drops any kind of disguise, doing a weird face change thing, telling him to get Diana to make wishes. I do wonder if the disguise is necessary in these films. Couldn't he just be invisible and then appear when someone makes a wish? It's not like he gives a damn about anonymity anyway, as you just saw. Diana and her boyfriend meet at the local church because religion was forced into the last movie, why not force it in here? They get inside to speak to the priest, but what do you know?
Father Norton's a little tied up.
How did he know they'd go there? It took him a day and a half to find Diana's room, even after getting the necessary files to do so. Suddenly he's actually competent? The djinn locks the doors and then approaches Diana for his wishes with the help of another student.
Anne's already made her wish.
Professor?
She wants to lose a little weight.
Okay, hold on. What happened to the whole needing 1001 souls before getting his 3 wishes? Just forgot that part? And even if it was a different djinn, it would still be the same ritual. So the djinn makes the girl start throwing up all the fat in her body, including internal organs, which I'll spare you of, as it is overly disgusting. And he even makes a quip about anorexia.
Anorexia is such a debilitating disease, don't you think?
And you can see just how small-minded the writer is, because he clearly means bulimia and not anorexia. And then Diana chooses to make her first wish.
Make your wish!
Okay, just stop her pain, please. I wish it.
You lying piece of shit!
You said!
Hey! I stopped the pain. You have to be more specific. Now make your second wish.
They're actually surprised he killed her? Come on, how much fucking research did they do? And yeah, I like how they had the djinn just say you have to be more specific, as if the audience wouldn't get that. Like the filmmakers dumbed down their movie and they expected the audience to be just as stupid. Diana then makes a rather strange wish.
I wish to invoke the spirit of the angel Michael to help me stop you.
Clever girl.
But yeah, they're really bringing angels into this movie now. However, as angels are mentioned in the original myth, it's not the worst idea, and that's the best praise this film's going to get from me. The weird heavenly lightning starts to possess Diana, but her boyfriend pushes her out of the way and gets possessed instead, because it works that way apparently. But hey, at least he'll be somewhat fucking useful now. And he seems to have brought the Soul Reaver with him as well. The djinn sadly transforms into that rubber-clad ham and then begins to fight with banter in between, and after the angel, Michael, rather comically tosses the djinn into the altar, they get the hell out of there. And that will be the last time we see the djinn in his proper form. Hell, they couldn't have gotten rid of him completely, and then not even call it Wishmaster, so I wouldn't have to do this fucking film. Diana and Michael take refuge in the theatre while the djinn wanders around not really knowing where to go again, and comes across another student Diana knows with the usual flirting as she's supposed to be the slutty one.
Do you wish me to break your heart, young lady?
Oh, yes, please.
So after some goofy as fuck special effects, he makes her heart explode. I really don't care about these people, and the script's not bothering to deliver anything but standard death scenes. That's the thing about Wishmaster. To keep it interesting, you actually have to put the effort in. Otherwise, as I said, it gets old very fucking fast. And I think that's a pretty good measure of a writer, and clearly this writer has failed miserably. Michael and Diana talk in the theatre. They discuss how the djinn might be defeated, and he tells her that only she can kill him, despite the fact that the previous films were quite clear on the subject of killing the djinn, but we'll discuss that later. Back at the dorm rooms, the douchebag boyfriend shows up looking for Diana and his girlfriend, but the djinn shows up instead, obviously keeping to his disguise.
Oh shit.
And then he makes a wish, and the best part of the film happens.
Granted.
Oh, thank fuck for that. At least the filmmakers realise when a character really needs to die. Unless they actually wanted us to give a fuck about him, but that can't be right, can it? The djinn goes off to find Diana's friend while communicating with her telepathically. And yet he doesn't know where she's hiding. Diana and Michael are still talking, and Diana tries to hold the angel's sword. You know, searing third-degree burns don't seem that painful.
I was foolish.
You gave her the sword, you prick. It's one thing to say she's not ready, it's another to say it'll set her on fire. But don't worry, the angel's got magic heavenly healing powers, so it's all good again. Back at the dorm, Diana's friend finds Kababo douchebag and runs off screaming, dropping her phone in the process. Outside, she happens to run into the djinn, who just came from the room she did, so where the fuck he just was is anybody's guess. She runs into one of the science rooms that has hundreds of lab rats in cages. Fitting metaphor for what the filmmakers think of their audience. And I love the fact we keep seeing ambulances take the dead people away, but the police don't even set up a crime scene. They take them away, but no one seems to care about the obvious fucking murders taking place. Assuming they haven't found the girl in the church yet, that's 3 dead bodies in extremely suspicious circumstances in less than 2 days. And no one's bothering to set up any kind of investigation? Badly written script, not taking that into account? Or not enough budgets to hire actors to play investigators? Probably a mixture of both. In the lab, Diana's friend attempts to hide from the djinn under a desk, but oh no, the djinn might find her. That's right. I don't give a fuck. In the lab, Diana's friend calls her cell phone to tell her where she is, and she then makes a wish.
Somewhere to hide.
So the djinn, see if you can follow this because I have no idea, giving her a place to hide, places her head in a cage where the rats can eat her face. Because be careful what you wish for. Diana goes to the lab to find her friend, and she finds her with, frankly, really shitty special effects makeup on her face.
This is your fault.
What did you do to her?
I think she didn't wish for.
I wish there was a place to hide equals I wish rats chewed my face off. Yep, seems legit. But Michael bursts into the room impaling the djinn with a flag, and then the sun rises in a few seconds between cuts. Really, no time passed at all then, and yet the sun rose in that short amount of time. The djinn removes himself from the spear, the stupid way. Was it really that difficult to just pull it out? Diana runs off, and Michael and the djinn have another fight. That stops when again, Michael takes out the djinn in comic fashion. The djinn is now stopped by drywall, apparently. And now's the time for a car chase, as Michael and Diana drive off, and the djinn jumps on the roof, smashing the window. and after some struggle, the djinn's thrown off and the car crashes. In a similar way, Diana's parents had crashed at the start of the film. I wonder if this will lead to flashbacks and Diana overcoming adversity to face her tragic past. No, of course not. I do feel that was an attempt to copy what they did with Alex's character in the first movie, how her parents died in a fire, and at the end the djinn recreated a similar scenario. Except you can see the difference. That film used it for tension and character development. This film just used it to waste your fucking time. There is a big explosion though, which is the film jangling its keys in front of your face trying to keep you interested. And you can see how well that worked. What the fuck? How did that even happen? His fall wasn't bad enough to break all his limbs. Good God, are his bones made of wafer-thin mints? And I don't even need to mention just how terrible the effect looks. So the djinn resets his limbs in a really goofy manner, and he chases Diana and Michael to the college's roof. Cornered, the djinn demands Diana's final wish.
Make your wish!
If the Waker dies before the third wish, the djinn's defeated.
No, that was tested and proven wrong in the last movie. Did the filmmakers even bother to watch? Oh, why bother? Anyway, after some more talking, Diana jumps from the roof to try and kill herself. Just like how we thought that was going to happen at the start. Oh, I see what you did there, movie. Well done. Well done. The djinn grabs her, saving her from falling, and Michael floats the sword to Diana as she stabs the djinn, making them both fall, and killing the djinn as he disintegrates. So apparently when the djinn of the previous film said things like this,
"That which is eternal cannot die,"
it's actually very possible and very boring as a result. Why be creative when you can just stab your bad guy in the chest instead? And Diana's dead too, but with the angel's tears she's brought back to life in sickening, dull, happy ending fashion. Wishmaster 3 Beyond the Gates of Hell, which, come to think of it, had absolutely nothing to do with the Gates of Hell. This is just standard, cheaply stamped out, made-for-TV movie Sci-Fi Channel bollocks. It has all the generic tropes of a modern horror movie without any charm of its own, and leeching off the Wishmaster name without skill or even a desire to follow the series. Avoid at all costs, unless you want your time wasted and your intelligence demeaned by this crap. But do you want to know the weirdest part? The djinn was killed completely there, and yet there's still another film to get through, which was made by the same people as this film, by the way, and Wishmaster 4 was made within a weekend of Wishmaster 3. Did the filmmakers even give a fuck about continuity? Why do I keep asking questions I already know the answer to? Wishmaster 4 isn't starting off well. I'll see you next time when we finish this series.